Welcome to another Q&A Thursday with me, Bettina of Active Hands Yoga. And a question I get a lot as a yoga teacher is yoga spiritual? And I understand where that could come from. Sometimes when you walk into a yoga class, there may be incense burning, there may be some sort of statues or images of Hindu gods and goddesses. Maybe there's a candle burning, maybe there's a chant at the beginning of class or at the end of class. And I just want to say that, like many other things in life, yoga is what you make of it. It's what you put in, is what you get out. So the short answer to that question is yoga can be spiritual, but only if you want it to be. And if you don't want it to be spiritual, then it doesn't have to be spiritual. And what that translates into, practically speaking, is that when you go into a class and a teacher is chanting, you can choose not to chant, right? If that's not what you feel really invited to do. And if you're asked to set a prayer, to say a prayer in the beginning of class, you can just do what I call set your intention for the class. And all that means is you came to yoga class that day for a reason. And connect to that. Connect to why you're in yoga, what you want to dedicate your practice to, what you want to get out of it, so to speak, for the day. And you can say for something you want to dedicate your practice to world peace, or it could be something way smaller than that. It really just depends on you, and it's a private thing. So you make it what you want it to be. But if you want to make it into a spiritual practice, you can, right? And I understand why some people define yoga as spiritual practice, because even though the physical part is an integral part of yoga, it's 1/8 or 1/4 of yoga, depending on which system you're talking about, Ashtanga or Hatha. It is an integral part of yoga. So if you want to stay on the physical level, great, that's yoga. But if you're interested in, or you're invited to go into these other parts about the energies of your body or your mind, these are things that we can't necessarily see. We can't point our finger and say, hey, that's where my energy is. So sometimes people tend to group all these things that we can't see under the spiritual heading, but it doesn't have to be. I think even if I can't point at my energy, I definitely can feel it. I can feel if my energy is scattered or if my energy is really focused and present. So I think that, even if for some people this part is spiritual, it doesn't have to be. And so that's my A to the Q, is yoga spiritual. It is what you make of it, and it is also what you make of it in class. And as a side note, I want to say that my classes are pretty low on the spiritual side. I don't really talk about anything spiritual in class. The only thing I do is chant Om at the beginning and at the end of class, and along with asking you to set your intention. Because I know that when I start my practice, when I walk into a class, even though my body is there, my mind is still all over the place, maybe thinking about what I'm going to do after class, or things that happened during the day, or what I'm going to do tomorrow. And my energy is still scattered everywhere. My mind is not really present. And when I take a deep breath and chant Om, that centers me, that makes me use all my breath, and it brings all of my mind's energy back to the center. And after I chant Om, I'm really centered, I'm present, I'm back in my body, and I'm ready to start. And it would be great if we could all live a life of what I said is called the yoga mind. If, I was always present in my body and all of our energies are always within our bodies and not scattered everywhere. But, that's why we come to yoga class, right? That's why we do yoga, to really be present in our bodies. And so I think it's important to start the class in such a way to make sure we're all on the same page with everybody in the room and also with ourselves, that our minds, our breaths, our energy are also in the room with our bodies when we start class. And at the end of class, to return to where we started, to kind of check in and see the difference between when we first chanted Om to when we end the class and the practice, and compare the two. And usually for me, I just realize how great yoga is at the end of class or at the end of my practice. And so the chanting at the beginning and the end, it's almost like a little ritual to make myself more aware of where I am to start the yoga practice and to end it. And so I really recommend that. It doesn't have to be a chant. It could be something like lighting a candle or something else to really just get you to center your energies and make sure you're fully present for your practice. So that's it for today's Q&A, something really basic about spirituality and about the practical aspects of that, whether to make your practice spiritual or not. If you have any questions, don't be shy, ask, and I'll answer at the next Q&A Thursday. And thank you for joining me. I'm Bettina of Active Hands Yoga.